Dr. Chino Okafor was a name that resonated in the halls of the prestigious hospitals across the United States. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, Chino had always been driven by a passion for medicine and a desire to make a difference. After graduating top of his class from the University of Lagos, he moved to the United States to pursue his further studies. His dedication and brilliance earned him a place at Harvard Medical School, where he specialized in cardiology. By the age of 40, Dr. Okafor had achieved what many could only dream of. He was the chief cardiologist at a renowned hospital in New York, owned a luxurious penthouse overlooking Central Park, and drove the latest model of Ferrari. His success was the talk of the Nigerian community in the US, and his family back home couldn't be prouder. However, despite his professional achievements, Chino lived with a void in his life. His days were filled with back-to-back surgeries, consultations, and conferences, leaving little time for personal relationships. He had dated a handful of women over the years. First, he dated the American-born Regina Akimbo. Akimbo had won the most beautiful girl in New York. Some of Dr. Chino's friends posted the video of the Beauty Queen's documentary to him in the hope that they will fix him up for a relationship. Regina was a 28-year-old beauty queen who considered Dr. Chino too old-fashioned and not having enough time for her. Dr. Chino, on his part, considered her a flirt. "I don't even like her in the first place. She flirts with a lot of men," he said. Then came the 35-year-old Filipino girl named Cassandra. She is a very brilliant nurse and as busy as Dr. Chino. They tried out a couple of dates before Dr. Chino considered her too loquacious for his liking. "She talks a lot," he complained. Then he moved on to the 32-year-old Nigerian-born banker, Uche. Uche was an ideal woman, but it seems she has another agenda in their relationship. Within 2 months, Dr. Okafor had spent a whopping $100,000 on her. She loves shopping, vacationing, weekend trips, and every chance to enjoy herself, or would I say to exploit Dr. Okafor. Yes, even if you are too busy, your money can always represent you, she did say. It wasn't long before Chino realized that their relationship was a jamboree, a spending spree in disguise. She never loved him in the first place, so he ran as fast as his legs could carry him. One day, Chino's mother, Elizabeth, and his father, Eliezer, were on their way to New York to visit their son. Before long, Chino was at the airport to pick them up. He was excited that his parents would be coming. 5 years ago, Chino's parents had visited him. It was a most remarkable time in his life, except that they kept putting him under pressure to get married. "But it's not my fault. Things didn't just work out well in all the relationships I had," he said aloud to himself as he drove along the busy airport road to pick them up. Finally, they were home, and as soon as Madam Elizabeth entered his penthouse, her first remark was, "So, this house is still empty. 5 years down the line, she said. This is unbelievable. Eliezer, calm down now and have your seat first. You've been on the plane for the past 17 hours. Don't you think you need some rest? Chino said. In the days that followed, it became clear that Chino's parents had a clear mission. They wanted their son to get married, and that's exactly why they are there at New York. The next morning, Chino was gone to work. By the time he was back, Eliezer was prepared for him. Surgeries, consultations, and all that. Is that all you ever care for? She said. Eliezer continued, narrowing her eyes dangerously behind her pair of brown glasses. How can you be living this kind of life? She continued. Chino was sober. He knows that his parents' concerns are genuine. But how? How can he explain to them that it's not his fault? He had tried many girls, but none was close to what he wanted. Finally, he opened up to his parents. It's not as though I've not been trying, he said finally, lifting up his head. None of these girls ever made sense, he continued. Okay, to cut the long story short, just come back this Christmas to Urudi village, to your roots, and see if you would not find a wife, Eliezer said convincingly. At this, Chino was even more disappointed. He felt like stopping his ears on hearing his parents' words. Village girls, mama. No, now, it has not come to that, Dr. Chino protested. Oh, my enemies have done this to me. It shall not be well with my enemies. Chino Okafor, you are 40 years already, and you say it has not come to that. If you don't know, in marriage, you're already an emergency patient, Eliezer said. You are here looking for a perfect woman to marry. There is no perfect man or woman anywhere. Cut in Mr. Eliezer. When I married your mother, she was too skinny and always overadd salt in all her meals. But over the years, she has added more flesh and have also learned how to cook my soups just the way I love it. You must come down to the village, to your roots, and search for a wife. At this, Dr. Chino raised his hands in objection. I can still find a wife here, he said. This is 5 years, replied Mr. Eliezer. 5 years since you said those exact same words. And here we are. We've renovated the house and replaced the air conditioners. It's a 3-month notice, continued Mr. Eliezer, so that you don't have an excuse. Dr. Chino scratched his head involuntarily and slowly said, okay, no problem. I'll be home by December. But Mom, don't you think those village girls will all want to marry me because of my money? I am worth millions of dollars and billions of naira, Chino said. Firstly, there is no more village girls, as most girls born in the village are now exposed through tertiary education. And then secondly, concerning the riches, you can always find a way, she said. All this while, Dr. Chino's head was bent as he was immersed in a deep thought. As he raised up his head, he then said, okay, maybe I will disguise myself and pretend to be a poor man. That way, I may be able to get a girl who truly loves me for me. Cutting Eliezer. My sister Maggie and myself, we get a plan together. Don't worry, you will get to enjoy your holiday, she promised, and you will also find a loving bride, she said, raising her hands and spreading it out as though she was in a court of law. 2 weeks later, Madam Elizabeth and her husband, Mr. Eliezer, were gone from New York City back to Nigeria. I can't allow my business to suffer for long. I too, said Mr. Eliezer. Let us go back home. Our customers have been calling us incessantly, even though Chino pleaded with them to keep him company a little more while. At this, Eliezer said, "That's why you need a wife and some children too." "Yes," supported Mr. Eliezer. "I can't imagine living without my woman. No. I can always get a housekeeper and a cook just like you did. But what about the warmth of her company? I mean, my bed will be too cold and my night too long," Mr. Eliezer emphasized. 3 months later, Chino was at the eastern part of Nigeria for Christmas. It was a cold harmattan, and he remembers vividly leaving the country some 10 years ago. He arrived the village without much fanfare. His mother's driver, Mr. John, had come along with his parents to pick him at the airport. Eliezer was so excited at the arrival of her son. With her was Maggie and Hope, her immediate elder and younger sisters. They were in Mr. and Mrs. Eliezer's house for 2 days, reminiscing over old times and sharing their bond together. For the first time in 10 years, Dr. Chino seemed to be relaxed, away from the racy American life to a calm village life. The local food, which were so natural, and the loud echoes of laughter amidst the quiet village setting, seemed to have a soothing effect on his nerves. 3 days later, he was awake early and well rested from his journey. He met his father and his mother at the sitting room and sat down to gist with them. "I have prepared the nsala soup, that is the white soup, for you today," Eliezer said. Soon, Chino was freshened and on the dining table enjoying the popular white soup with fufu. As for the local delicacies, he likes it so much and doesn't pretend about it. After the meal, Eliezer was there as a reporter trying to give her news update. "There is a big wedding coming up at Maggie's compound," she said. "You are going over to her side and you are going to attend that wedding. And put your eyes down to know if you will see any girl you like." "Okay, fine. I will be at Auntie Maggie's place. But Mom, I'll be there as a bus driver. If I go there as Dr. Chino Okafor, every girl will say yes. But if I go there as a bus driver, maybe, just maybe, I might be able to see a girl who truly loves me for me," he said. A young lady was to wed at Maggie's kindred, and her name is Chima, and her husband's name is Chima. So on the day of Chima's wedding, Chino was there at Maggie's compound to convey all the members of the bridal train in a shuttle bus to St. Matthias Church. Maggie, who was into bus rental, had brought out her old bus. That Saturday morning, Dr. Chino was dressed in a simple worn-out polo with a 5th grade OK Chino's trouser. The girls were 15 in number, and they all entered the bus. They were all beautifully dressed in their fitted clothes with their heavy makeup and high-heeled shoes. As soon as the bus moved through the rough, dusty roads, some of the girls began nagging. "Driver, you should have gotten yourself a good bus, but instead, you brought this old rickety bus to drive us on a rough and dusty road. Thank God the inside of your bus is clean. If not, me and you for don't put leg in one trouser," Ijoma said. As they continued with their journey, some of the girls talked a lot about what happened the previous night and their latest catch, while some were busy with their makeup. Dr. Chino listened from his steering to their many gists, gossip, and laughter. Then suddenly, Chino pretended and throttled the bus in a jerk, stopping it under a big mango tree, some 1 mile away from St. Matthias Church. The bus stopped in a jerk as Chino opened the bonnet, pretending as if something had gone wrong. "Bia, Mr. Driver, I hope it's not what I'm thinking of, because I can never step out of this bus," Ijoma fired. Chino pretended as though he was not hearing them as he quickly came and opened the door of the bus. One by one, they all began to give it to him. "Mr. Rickety Wackety, see what your bus have cost. If they are telling you drivers to repair your buses, you will not agree," said Ogo. "To repair what? This bus? Or to sell it off with the iron condemned people and do something useful with your life," added Ijoma. "Don't tell me that I'm going to trek to St. Matthias on these hills because of this unfortunate bus driver and his bus." So, one by one, they got down and started to verbally attack Chino. Before you know it, 4 of the girls pulled their high-heeled shoe and were pointing it at Chino. "We will break that your head if you don't make arrangements on how to carry us to church. Oh, this is morning, and I need Chinedu, the guy I had met at the pre-wedding night, to take pictures with me," continued Ijoma. But amongst the girls stood out Adora. She is brown-skinned, stunningly beautiful, and well-shaped. She seemed to have a sense of humor that saved the day. "Hey ladies, it's just a bus breakdown, not the death of a human being. Let's just calm down," she first announced. Then secondly, "Just calm down and stop calling the driver names. That's not going to solve our problems." Then she brought out her phone to call her cousin Chioma, who happened to be the bride. But at the second thought, she said, "It's her wedding day. The news of this bus might just spoil her mood. So let me just call Ndamage to send us one of her bus driver," she said. Some of the girls calmed down, while some continued to nag. "Poor, senseless goat of a driver," continued Ogo. "You want to spoil our mood and makeup by making me stand under the sun, eh? But babe, you're not standing under the sun, but under the tree," replied Adora. Soon, Dr. Chino had had enough, and he went back and pretended he was trying to start the car. He soon started the car, and soon they were at St. Matthias Church. All through the wedding, Dr. Chino observed the girls. Some were so conscious of their appearance, some were busy trying to catch some rich guys, while Adora was busy serving and taking people's order as he sat at a corner at the reception hall. She even brought him food. "Here is food though. I know you must be hungry. You've been working since morning," she said, handing him over a plate of jollof rice and chicken. After the wedding, Dr. Chino followed up Adora and found out more about her family. Adora, she had been teaching in their community primary school since she finished her NCE program some 5 years ago. She was the first lady to gain admission into medical school but could not go because of financial restraints. She therefore finally did her NCE program and started teaching afterwards. As Dr. Chino finally got to know her, they had a relationship that he cherished. All through his 3-month holiday, they drew closer and finally they were married in a grand wedding ceremony. Some of the girls who had been in the bus that day attended Dr. Chino and Adora's wedding and said, "Oh, it's good to be good to everyone, whether rich or poor, man or woman. I never knew that the billionaire husband I have been praying for was right by my side in that bus on our way to St. Matthias Church. That day, I was spitting fire," Ijoma said. The moral lesson of this story is that good character is the beauty of every woman. Most girls would have gotten married to their dream husband if they had good character and self-control. Hey friends, hope you enjoyed this wonderful story. Did you learn any lessons from it? Please share your thoughts with us on the comment section below. Remember to subscribe as we load you with more wonderful stories at African Tales by Oma. Remember to join our group as we supply you with our beautiful, proudly made in Nigeria handbags and jewelries. I love you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.